Still be summer, and this room should not be filled. But welcome. We appreciate you coming. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, this is a meeting of the Nevada Unified School District Board of Trustees. It's August 6th. This is our first meeting of this particular school year for 1920, and I want to welcome our new superintendent, Chris Koska. Welcome. This is your first board meeting as a superintendent. So.
Hi, thank you. Happy to be here.
Great.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
All right, the board did meet in closed session this evening, and our Vice President, Maria Aguila, is on vacation, so she's not here this evening, so I have Tom Cooper sitting in as our acting VP. So if you could report out the closed session items, I'd appreciate that.
Sure. We met in closed session and pursuant to Government Code 54957 and 54957.6, conference with labor negotiators, Chris Koska, Superintendent, Employees Organization, California School Employees Association, CSEA, and this was information only. The second item, item C, was pursuant to Government Code number 54956.9, conference with legal counsel pending litigation, Coalition to Save San Marin versus Nevada Unified School District, Marin County Superior Court case CIV 1702295. Okay. And that was information only as well.
All right, thank you very much. Approval of our agenda this evening. It stands as it is, There's no changes.
I'll move adoption of the order of business for tonight's meeting.
Okay, so we have first by Trustee Millerick, a second by Trustee Mack. All those in favor? Approve the agenda. 6-0, 1 absent. All right, public comment. I've already got a nice little stack here, and I see some right over there. We'll get them all down to me. If you want to speak on an agenda item, fill out a blue card, or if it's not on the agenda, fill out a blue card as well. They're located right over there on that cart. Bring the blue card up to Ellen, and she will pass it along to me, and we'll put you where you belong. Right now, I have all non-agenda public comment. And you have 3 minutes. So when I call your name, what I'll do is call 3 names in a row and then just go in that order, and then I'll call the next 3 after those 3 are done. Come up to the podium, speak into the mic, and we are on TV. And we have 3 minutes. The timer is right over there, and it'll count down. Please stick to the 3 minutes. Otherwise, I do have several of these. This is a good half hour at 45 minutes worth of public comment. So just keep that in mind, and we want to listen to everybody. But if you did hear your viewpoint expressed by somebody else, and you're like, you know what, I don't need to speak, just say so to me, and I'll move on to the next person. So, but we're here to listen to everybody's viewpoint and get everybody in to state their point. But please stick for the 3 minutes. I'd appreciate that. Yes. Oh, yeah, and we do not respond to any of the, anybody who speaks to a non-agenda item. We do not respond. We just listen, and what we can do is either direct staff or provide more information later on. We can do that, though. All right, so moving on to our consent agenda. Is any trustee want to pull anything from consent? I do have an addendum. This is the personnel action sitting at your table. There's a change in that than what was originally on there. And so the change is Catherine Nam has been selected as the principal for Rancho. So that is on there.
That's cool. Yep.
So when we approve the consent, I want to make sure we do the addendum in there. Okay.
As a note, Ellen Kristen Denton is now our board support and superintendent superintendent to the superintendent. So I'd like to welcome her to the evening's meeting. Thank you very much. This looks like lots of fun, but it's
You're here till midnight, but that's all right. All right, so I have a first by Trustee Mack for approval of the consent if there's nobody pulling anything.
Second.
Second by Trustee Millerick. All those in favor to approve the consent agenda? 601 absent. Okay. All right, this is announcements of the board and superintendent. Any announcements, Trustee Millerick? Do you have anything to report out?
nothing.
I know this is the first meeting. Coming
Actually,
back.
I do.
Oh, okay.
I spent 2 weekends ago, the IT department is installing the upgraded wireless network. They're doing 4 campuses, and they started with Novato High, and I was able to join with them on the Saturday and observe the install, plus upgrading our classrooms with a new learning platform, which I will get to see in greater detail upstairs at invitation of staff, but work is proceeding in good order.
Great, thank you, Trustee Nell. Trustee Gasson.
I have 2 things. The first thing, I actually had Ellen leave copies for you. It's called NUSD Board and Brew, which I've been working on with Leslie. There were copies, I don't think, for everybody. Wasn't anticipating this many people. But it talks about, a couple meetings ago, I mentioned I wanted to be, to set up where we could meet with the community to have coffee and chat. So this is what's come of that. I have some locations. I try to spread them throughout Novato, some potential dates and times if anybody's interested. And then I went out to the public and asked what topics they would like to talk about. So hopefully we'll get this up and rolling in the next week or 2 if you are all okay with it. So any questions, let me know. And thank you to Leslie, I don't even know where she is, for helping with that. The other item is the Safe Routes to Schools Task Force meeting was last week. I asked that they move it a little earlier because there's a big push to re-energize the program and get NUSD sites more involved. So we talked at length, and Leslie was there as well helping with that. We're going to recruit heavily for team leaders at each school location. So.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Mack.
Yeah, in anticipation of getting going again, I decided upon myself to go tour all the campuses, and over the last 2 days, I've walked every single one. One thing I want to say is I'm seeing a lot of great progress from the grounds guys. They have really kicked it into a high gear. Granted, there was a lot of work that needed to be done, and they're still catching up. But I'm very encouraged that they are really getting out there. So I'm going to keep up and check on that. But also on the Measure G side, seeing all the projects getting going, that's very exciting. Literally, ground is being broken as we speak. And, of course, all the AC units going in, seeing that they're getting moving along. So very exciting time.
Okay, Trustee Cooper.
A couple weeks ago, I was able to go to the final ceremony, I guess, of the AIM High, one of our summer school programs at San Jose Middle School, and it's called AIM High, and it was so exciting. The people from the organization were there, totally supportive of Novato's kids, and it was just amazing. Several of the children were asked, what did they think about the summer school there, and they were just so excited. One of the comments, one of the students, I think he's probably a freshman in high school, he said, well, the best thing is I'm not going to forget what I learned last year. It's going to keep me going. So let's do summer school. Anyway, it was great.
Great, thank you. I have no announcements. Superintendent Koska?
All right, so I have a lot of announcements. We have a lot of transitions that are happening in our central office and at our school sites. And so I'm going to invite some of our new folks forward. I think I will move over to the...
Sure.
Okay, so Human Resources have been busy doing a lot of hard work over the summer, making sure that we're fully staffed to start the year. And so I'm going to bring forward some of the new administrators that are joining our team. And I'm going to start with the person who's taking my place, and that's Jonathan Ferrer. So Jonathan, please come forward. So Jonathan, you can come stand over here. We don't have to put you right in the middle of the firing squad there. So Jonathan's the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. As I said, he's filling the position that I vacated when I moved to the superintendent position. And Jonathan comes to us with a strong background in human resources. He was most recently at Sonoma Valley Unified, and prior to that in Oakland, where he served as a teacher, assistant principal, and principal. So we're really glad to have somebody with Jonathan's skill set coming to support us, but most importantly, the personality that he's going to bring to working with our labor partners. So really excited about that. We have Angela Chrysler is our new Director of Special Ed. So went through a serious search process a couple times before we landed on the right person in Angela to come over and take the lead of our special ed department. Angela has, she's a child of Novato schools and has been a teacher and a principal. And so, again, we're super glad to have her here as somebody who is the right leader to take over the special ed department. Next, we have Deanna Scott, who is our Assistant Director of Special Education. So this is what we think of. This is Robin to our Batman. Angela's our Batman, and that's our Robin. And Deanna's our expert in special education. She's been a special education director. She has been an assistant director. She's been a school psychologist. She's been a special day class teacher. And she brings everything that we need in order to help Angela be as successful as she can be in the director position, but most importantly, to help our students find the success that they need. So thank you, Deanna. The cat's out of the bag. The cat is out of the bag. Hey, Cat Nom, come forward, please. So this is the new news. All this other news, this is all old news. But Kath was selected to become the next principal at Rancho School. It's got a long history with us here in Novato, was a teacher at Rancho, has come to the district office where she's been a teacher supporting other teachers and also been a coordinator. And she's ready to make this leap. And she overcame a lot of fantastic candidates when she got selected for this job. And I was wondering if she was going to make it, and she knocked it out of the park. There was no doubt. So super happy to have her. Rhonda Fleming. Rhonda, come forward, please. So Rhonda is going to be coordinating our multi-tiered systems of supports. And so what that means is she's going to be making sure that the kids in our district have both the academic and social and emotional supports that they need. She's going to help us to build that system and help us to implement that system. And she brings a lot of great experience to us from her work in New Haven, where she's most recently been supporting English learners there. So we're very happy to have Rhonda joining our team. So thank you, Rhonda. And Katie Cobb von Heusen. So Katie had the opportunity to work with me like 17 years ago or 15 years ago or something like that, and she still came back for more. So we worked together for a year in Vallejo a long time ago. She's coming into this prevention coordinator position. This is a position that's fully funded by the Peter E. Haas Family Fund, and that's part of our Healthy Novato initiative, and Katie's focus is on social and emotional learning for our students. We've got to do, used to be that it was reading, writing, and arithmetic, but now we need to do a better job of supporting our kids in their social and emotional learning, and so Katie's going to help us with that. She comes to us from West Contra Costa Unified. So these are our new administrators, so we're going to take a quick picture with me and the new administrator. We're going to act like we like each other. We still do, it's early in the year.
Nice, thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We have a couple of other folks. Dr. Neil Rauschuber is serving as the interim Director of Maintenance Operations and Transportation. I know some of you folks are here to talk about facilities. One of the things I have to say is that our facilities aren't as good, our grounds in particular aren't as good as they need to be. So we're making a change there. Dr. Rauschuber's here. He's making a big difference in the short time that he's here while we're trying to find the permanent replacement. But I think you're going to start seeing some progress. Is it, the progress that you need to see or want to see? That's up to you to decide, but you're going to start seeing a lot of progress. And then we have Sue Brooks, who isn't here. She is going to be our interim food services director while we look to find the right person to fill that important position. So we'll fill both of those positions hopefully in September, but in the meantime, we're in very capable hands. That was a lot.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
I just want to welcome our new hires. What I know this board really appreciates is when we can hire from within, and to have two people that are currently in our district and move them up to the next level, their next job is so special. So we're glad that we're able to do that and to keep you here in our district and to welcome the new members to this NUSD family. So.
And Debbie, before you move on, I would be remiss if I didn't thank a couple of other important people who are here. So I won't make you guys come forward. But my wife Lotta's here, and I just want to thank her for A, for being here, and B, for supporting me along this journey all the way. Fantastic. Fantastic wife, mom, and teacher, and thank you so much for being here. And then my son, this is where every 17-year-old wants to be tonight, right? So I want to thank my son Eric for being here. Eric, thank you for always supporting your dad and understanding when I miss some of your stuff sometimes, and thank you. Okay.
All right, we're gonna move on to our non-agenda public comment. So as I said, if you just came in or if you didn't hear me, I'll just briefly fill out a blue card. I have a bunch of them here. They're on this cart back here behind the TV screen. Bring it up to Ellen, and I will make sure to plug you in to be able to speak. You have 3 minutes to speak. The timer is right there. Please stick to the 3 minutes. I'm going to say the first three names, so if those three people could come up to the podium. I have Josh Franks, Jamie Batwan, and excuse me if I butcher your name. I've seen this name before, but I can't pronounce it. Say it again? Okay, there we go. And Steve Marvier are the first are the first three speakers. Go ahead, you can start.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Josh Franks and I'll be a senior at San Marin High School this upcoming year. I wanted to share the story of the last few months and our baseball team at San Marin with the hope of change this upcoming season. So around halfway through last year, I suffered a major knee injury while playing in a game at San Marin. I was chasing a ball, hit to the wall, got to the warning track, and my cleat caught on some of the various debris that has littered our outfield for years, and it completely ruptured my ACL and tore my meniscus in multiple places. I underwent surgery in early May, and I'm almost exactly 3 months post-op today. Since then, I've been doing constant physical therapy and other forms of rehabilitation to get myself into just a playable state, hopefully, for next year. This entirely preventable injury has been and will continue to heavily impact my life moving forward. For starters, this injury has cost my parents and family thousands of dollars in non-refundable college recruiting camps that I had already enrolled in and signed up for this summer. And along with this, my plans to pursue baseball at the next level have been seriously derailed. And the injury has lost me multiple possible Division I scholarship offers, along with less competitive program offers. And along with this, I'll be unable to participate in any of my senior football season, something I personally and every freshman looks forward to the entire 4 years in high school when they first begin their football career. While the injury has been quite traumatic for my family and myself, we're very thankful that it was not worse. As shown in some of these pictures, our fence has many places all around where exposed concrete is hazardous and very easy to fall on. If you want to pass that around. And it's as easy as a trip and a direct head impact, and the results could have been catastrophic. So we're all very thankful that didn't happen. And all that I ask is that our field begin to receive the necessary time and attention that it requires to become a safe place for our San Marin student athletes to play next year. Thank you for your time.
So Coach Jamie and myself switched spots because I have an introduction and he has a conclusion. So anyway, my name is Mark Schmidt, and I'm the parent of a graduated senior and a incoming freshman for San Marin High School. And I'm here tonight to introduce the concept that the San Marin baseball program is really excited to receive the much-needed repairs and improvements through the Measure G funds that are going to become available in the next year or so. So we're excited about that. However, we're in a situation where we realize that the field is falling apart much faster and then we can keep up with the repairs. So tonight you're going to hear from a variety of parents and students, like Josh, who are going to each share a little bit about this issue. Many of the examples that you're going to hear have led to an increase in injury. Josh is certainly being the most significant of the bunch. But that has a lot of parents concerned, and we're here tonight to share that with you. After this meeting, we are hoping that you will have a new understanding of the condition of the San Marin baseball field. And we understand that in time, the bond measure will take care of these things. But due to the safety concerns, we really can't wait for some of these improvements to happen. And, there's been four, on the varsity team alone, there's been 4 major injuries this season. Josh explained his. There was an ankle tendon tear. There was another child had a broken hand and finger bones. Another one had a torn hand tendon and some bone contusions. So all of these injuries resulted in lost playing time and at least some, if not a significant amount of rehabilitation time. So we've, as a team, we've gotten together, we have plans, we have costs, we have project lists, we have plenty of things to share and ideas. And, we hope that in the near future, we can work with the board and the NUSD staff to help find some creative financing means to move these projects along prior to next baseball season. I think with the Measure G, it probably would have fallen, a lot of the repairs would have fallen after the baseball season. But we need to find a way to make this happen sooner than later. Just because we've hit a point that the field is critically unsafe and we need some help. So thanks a bunch for listening to the rest of the crew, and appreciate it.
Is Jamie gonna speak, or? And then I had Steve.
Hi, Steve Marvier. I'm not a public speaker, so sorry. I've been involved with youth sports in Novato for the past 10, 12 years, coaching at every level. Son's on the varsity team now for San Marin. And you go through Little League and helping maintain the fields, do all that. And you just, in your mind, you figure by the time you get to the varsity field, this is going to be great. This is the top. This is fantastic. Watching kids go down and get hurt, it's sad to see with Josh. My son tore ligaments in his ankle because of the condition of the field. And some of the stuff, we don't need huge dollars to fix it. There was a dead deer in right field that was there until it rotted. It turned to leather. It was mowed around. There's currently a 3-foot tall mound of dirt that's been there for over a month. It's mowed around. And the irrigation system, I went through with Jamie, gave him a breakdown of everything that needed to be done. This is what I do for a living. It's simple fixes. To this day, nothing's been done. The amount of water being wasted at San Marin is phenomenal. There was a leak last year by the bleachers that went on for the entire baseball season. The fix was to put a piece of plywood down so you could walk over it. I mean, that leak was 24 hours a day. And when I put my hand down there, put it on the pipe, there was so much pressure coming out, I couldn't even hold the pipe. You probably lost as much water in that leak to irrigate probably the entire Nevada Unified School District, and nothing's done. And I've, again, since the last 10 or 12 years, I've never been to a meeting, and it's gotten to the point that these guys deserve better. The coaches, the amount of time they put in, they're maintaining the fields. They had a fundraiser to buy a mower so they could mow the fields and at least keep them playable. It's not anymore, I mean, it's embarrassing to see the field. You go to these other schools, they're some aren't perfect, but this is by far the worst school. And it's not to the point now of aesthetics, it's to the point these guys are getting hurt. They're getting hurt, And it's sad. This is their last year, some of these guys, and they might not be able to play. They go out there, there's, someone's going to get injured. And again, it's not great cost. I'll be happy to meet with anybody to go out there and walk the field and let them know what needs to be done in a heartbeat. It's minor things that it's just maintenance. Very simple things. There's big ticket items that need to be done for sure. But it's frustrating, and these guys definitely deserve better. So, thank you.
Thank you. The next three speakers, I have Mike McDuffie, Deidre Shannon, and I think it's Joanne Leith.
Good evening, Mike McDuffie. I'm a resident of Novato and have been for the last 44 years. My daughter graduated from San Marin, and my youngest right now is a senior at will be a senior at San Marin, plays varsity baseball. Steve Marvier just painted a somewhat bleak picture of San Marin's baseball field, and I would encourage each one of the members of the board to physically go out and walk that field. As a and I hate to use the word, longtime resident and taxpayer, I'm almost ashamed at what we see with our schools. Measure G is going to fix a lot, I understand. But from a community standpoint, it's a shambles. It really is. Not only that, there's the safety issues. Some Josh pointed out. Others, such as foul balls. They go over the top of the netting and sometimes through the netting at the backstop, down onto the playing surface of the football field or lacrosse field. And you have young ladies and young men down there playing. You have spectators in the stands. How, to this point, no one's been injured by a baseball, but I can tell you what, if that was a parking lot, there'd be a lot of broken windows, and guess who would be paying that bill? You guys, the district. The other thing is the backstop. It's usually the 2x12 lumber, pressure treated. It's in disrepair. Kids want to make plays like Josh made that great play or tried to make that great play in center field. They run into that backstop. There's the potential for serious injury. And I'm going to kind of finish this with just in summation to what Steve said. We've been involved, my family, with sports in Novato, especially North Novato, San Marin area for quite some time. And every year, the coaches have to plead to the parents to dip into their pocketbooks to come out and fix the smallest of items, like sprinkler heads, valves, okay? And quite frankly, when Gino graduates, I'm going to be done. I really am. I don't want to do it anymore. Every spring, every fall, we're out there, we're pulling weeds, we're fixing stuff. This past winter, we actually got up there and fixed the drainage culvert because no one would do it. And who comes up with that money? Not the district. It's the parents. And frankly, people, I'm tired of it. And I think there are a few other parents that are as well. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Deidre Shannon. I know many of you from being in the district for a long time. As a principal, dean, teacher, and parent, and now I'm coming to you as a grandparent. I spoke at the last board meeting regarding the air conditioning issue. A group of us met and worked during July to compile appropriate data and write letters requesting that we be put on the agenda. We followed board rules, and individual board packets were delivered to the district office on Friday, July 26th at 9:30 in the morning. I realize it's summer, but there's nothing in the board that says, don't follow the rules in the summer. It's different. So we went along with those. We received word yesterday that we were not to be on the agenda because of a time factor. So I'm now asking that you review the letters and the documentation that we sent and consider our request for the following board meeting. I'm also requesting a timeline for the development of some sort of a hot weather plan for not only extreme heat, but also if we encounter potential fire smoke issues like we did 2 years ago. I have handouts here that I'll pass along, and these are from the San Diego Unified School District, and it's operation of schools during hot weather, the accommodations that they make for the schools that don't have air conditioning so that the students are in an environment where they're not getting so overheated that they can't function. So I'll pass, it's 2 different ones. So finally, I'm putting in a request to get more information about what is the district's plan for the remaining bond money. And I'm asking that you use the rest to address basic school needs over wants. And one of those needs includes air conditioning in the 3 schools that don't have it. There's no reason for these kids to be sitting in classrooms that are over 85 degrees. So, so basically, I find this wrong, and I find it really hard to believe they haven't addressed it until now. Well, I taught in this district, and it was warm with no air, but it's much warmer now than it was 15 years ago. And I just, as a community taxpayer, paying on the bond measure, which I'm happy to do to support Novato Unified School Districts, but I feel like air conditioning is just bottom line basic. There are some basic other needs at the schools that need to be taken care of as well, such as bathrooms that back up into the classrooms. But air conditioning this day and age is just a basic need. So I'd like to ask for a timeline from you for a plan about how this hot weather is going to be addressed, and also that you consider, I have a lot of time now, that you consider, seriously consider using some of the bond money to put air conditioning in the schools that don't have it as an equity issue. Thank you.
Why don't you stand over here? Stand over here. See you. Good evening. My name is Joni Leith, and I've been teaching in the district for 14 years. I'm currently a teacher at Novato High School. Over the years, I've noticed the temperatures in my classroom becoming increasingly hotter. 2 years ago, the district implemented a late start initiative. Because of this, there are days when 7th period stretches out until 3:30 p.m. On these late days, the temperature in my classroom sometimes exceeds 85 degrees. These past 2 years, we have also unfortunately seen an increase in wildfires. Last fall, during the fires in Sonoma County, our air quality was so unhealthy that the recommendation was to stay indoors and only breathe filtered air. Because there was no option for filtered air, I witnessed days where I only had 5 to 10 students in each class. Attendance was drastically low. The students who were there were in classrooms with doors and windows shut, and the stuffy air inside smelled like smoke and was laden with ash. Finally, schools were forced to close down on Friday of that week because the air had become so polluted, and many of the schools were without AC. This fall, when students and teachers return, there will only be a few schools without cool and clean air. This is disturbing to me as a teacher, as a parent, and as a property tax-paying member of this community. Not only do I teach in this district, I send my own daughter to school here. Stella finished kindergarten at Lou Sutton last June. She had a wonderful experience there. But toward the end of the year, she would come home and complain that she was hot. She seemed fatigued and frustrated every afternoon. As temperatures soared into the triple digits the last week of school, she called to come home early one day because she felt sick. After picking her up around noon, I realized she was sweaty and felt sick to her stomach because she was so hot. Her teacher did everything right by lowering the lights, running fans, and even giving popsicles to her kindergartners. The next day, it was 105 in Novato, and I went to school again at lunchtime and picked her up. I could not allow her health to suffer by leaving her there in that kind of heat. I will continue to have no choice but to keep her home on extremely hot days until this is remedied. To not provide filtered and cool air to all NUSD students is in violation of the newly implemented equity imperative. The drive for inclusiveness and equity among underserved communities within our district is not being kept up here. I am requesting a plan of action in which some of the bond money is used to provide cool and clean air for all the schools within the Novato Unified School District. Thank you.
The next three speakers I have is Dale Clark, Christy Wright, and Liv Canuli. Is Dale Clark here?
I'm Dale Clark. I spent some wonderful years here in the district. I retired, and I've been retired 12 years. That's impossible. It can't be that long. I'll just have a little story. 12 years ago, my last year, I was teaching at Hill. I loved Hill. The one thing I didn't love about it, in May, June, August, September, I would come into school in the morning and open both doors and get the fans going so I could bring in some cooler air. That worked about first, second period maybe. And then after lunch, imagine middle school children coming in after having run around and teased each other and gotten really hot. They come in, and probably within a few minutes, the temperature in the room would probably go up about 5 to 10 degrees. And on a hot day, that would be about 88. I know because I brought a thermometer and I measured it. And at the time after school, I remember the exact day, I looked at it and thought, really? I have to teach in this along with all the other teachers. Would you go to a job that had 88 degrees and you couldn't do much about it at all? Would you take a job where you had to put up with that? At that point, it was morale. It hit me at that moment. That's how much I'm respected. And when I say I mean teachers. Imagine the distraction level that middle schoolers have on a good day. And then add to that a very hot room that very little, maybe some learning takes place. I don't know. I was hoping. But I understand that you have to make some very difficult decisions. I wouldn't want your job. You have to choose between one or the other. If we had unlimited funds, I know our teachers would have everything they needed and most of what they'd want. I know you would do that. But that's not reality. So difficult decisions. It's a matter of priority. And we're just hoping that you understand. And I challenge you. Spend a week in one of those classrooms doing your job and see what that's like. It isn't very much fun, is it? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Liv Canuli, and I'm going into third grade at Lou Sutton, and it's too hard for me and my friends to focus, and I think we deserve air conditioning because we work so hard.
Hi, my name is Christy Wright, and I am an English teacher at Novato High School. I'm here today to express my concern and frustration that Novato High, along with 2 other elementary schools in the district, have yet to receive air conditioning. We are returning to school soon, and knowing that many other schools in our district have received this wonderful air conditioning, yet others haven't, is just disheartening. I would like to ask you to picture this. Finals week back in June of this year. 34 freshmen. Students sat in my 84-degree room, trying their best to focus on the most important exam of the semester. I had 3 fans that I spent over $100 of my own money on, trying to circulate the warm air throughout the room. As I sat and watched the students in front of me, I saw some wiping the sweat off their foreheads, others fighting off sleep because they felt nauseous, and even more frustrated students asking if I had any more fans to try and help so they could focus. One student eventually had to leave the room because she got sick after spending her day in hot classrooms. It is absolutely wrong to ask students and teachers to survive long days in these conditions, especially when our administration gets to sit one building over in air conditioning. I have lost so much valuable time in my classroom due to the heat we experience here in Novato, and I would hope that teachers could be given the respect they deserve to be able to teach in air-conditioned rooms. After all, inmates are even given that respect in their cells. To conclude, I leave you with this story that a former student asked me to share. So this is in her words. My name is Rachel Wilkins, and I am a former student of Novato High School. My junior year, I took an AP test in the gym on a day where the temperatures were in the low 90s. The doors to the gym had to be closed per AP testing rules, so our only airflow was a huge fan. Throughout the test, I was finding it difficult to focus as the heat was making my head feel fuzzy and faint. After I had finished each section, I took a nap in order to try to remedy these symptoms. These feelings continued when I got home, where I had to lie down on my bathroom floor because of how overheated and faint I felt. I stayed there for about an hour, going in and out of consciousness, recovering in the air-conditioned coolness of my house. The lack of air conditioning is not only important to preserve equity among the schools in the district, but overheated classrooms and students leads to health issues and can thus make academic performance suffer. In order to ensure that all students are able to put their best foot forward to succeed, they need to be able to be safe and comfortable when learning at school. I would like to invite any of you into my classroom this following year during a heat wave and spend your time sitting in there and looking at the students and seeing how they perform in those types of conditions. Thank you so much.
All right, the next 3 speakers are Carrie Canuli, Nicole Slavin, and Tina Shimikowski.
So a couple of the ladies put together a petition that we started 2 days ago, and we've gotten 322 signatures. And I just want to read a couple of the comments that people had written. Someone wrote, "It's illegal to leave your pets and children in warm, hot cars, so why would it be acceptable for the learning environment to fall under the same conditions? They will not thrive in an uncomfortable environment. Our children's physical environment, while learning is so important and this issue should be taken much more seriously and fixed immediately. As an elementary school teacher myself, I know the classroom environment is a crucial factor to the learning process." Someone else wrote, "Air conditioning is a health issue for both staff and students. So hot in classroom because it's very hard to focus, and humans suffer the heat when there are solutions. Having AC would help my students focus. Me being an incoming senior, I know how hard it is to focus in class when the room isn't comfortable for anyone to be in, let alone study in. Having temperature-controlled classroom will help my kids and teachers stay focused. Please consider installing AC at all public schools. My kids attend Novato High School." Someone else wrote, "This should have been done already. Vote this in." Another person wrote, "It's very hard to focus in class under dire conditions such as hot weather." Just a few of those, and how we're all enjoying this nice air conditioning right now.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Slavin. I won't talk long because it would be very repetitive. You've heard from several of my colleagues. I will just say I'm an English teacher at Novato High School. Last spring, during finals week, my classroom regularly hit 88 degrees. I have one row of clerestory windows very high at the ceiling level that will open. The windows on the other side of my classroom, inexplicably, are nailed shut. I have a small oscillating fan. During dead week and finals week, the temperatures were so high that I considered spending in advance of receiving it my PTA money on some kind of a swamp cooler or something in my classroom. The cost was very prohibitive. I just couldn't do it. So I have a small oscillating fan, and I can turn on the blower that that blows the heat in the winter, but it really does nothing. And I had a lot of kids stay home, leave early. It was just, especially kids with asthma, I noticed, just couldn't handle it. It was awful. I've heard in the run-up to this meeting some people talking about, we had an option when the bond was approved to decide as a school what we wanted to do. And I will tell you, at that meeting, that one meeting that we had, the issue of air conditioning was raised immediately, and almost just as immediately pretty much shut down by the district and site leadership that was at that meeting as prohibitively expensive and a waste of the money that we would be receiving, especially since if we used it to put in a new performing arts center, which I'm not against, we could maybe use that as a source of revenue for the district, which is great, but I would really like to be comfortable in my classroom as well. Our district is very proud, and justifiably so, of the equity imperative that we have. And I would really, really like it if we could honor that by making sure that every student in every school is just as comfortable as every student in every other school. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tina Shumakowski. This is my 10th year teaching at Novato High School, and I'm here to advocate for air conditioning for the 3 remaining schools in Novato Unified School District. As a math and avid teacher at Novato High, I have one of the few classrooms with AC. On those days where exterior temps are 85 or above, and we know the number of days per year where that will occur is increasing, the students come into my room like wilted flowers, dehydrated and exhausted. They may get a cup of water from the jug I provide because there's no running water where my portables were or where they are now because they were just moved. And then the AC, maybe they will revive after 15 minutes. But in that 15 minutes, where no learning is occurring. The National Bureau of Economic Research studied 10 million high schools and the PSAT data from 2001 to 2014. There was a significant drop in PSAT scores correlated to higher classroom temperatures. The higher temperatures did not show a drop in places where adequate air conditioning, such as the South, where there's always air conditioning, is common. I can only imagine, as a teacher whose main population are students who struggle with being students, who struggle with being mathematicians, who struggle with executive functioning, mental health issues, ADD, I can only imagine what kind of drop that study might show as opposed to the motivated college-bound student. My husband and I bought a house last year that needed a lot of work, infrastructure and finishes that people could see and notice. Well, we had to, surprise, replace all the plumbing, which meant that we didn't get to put in the fancy zebra wood counters that we had our eyes on. Basic needs and requirements over bells and whistles. Physical comfort is a basic requirement for learning. And with bond money available, I advocate for the money to be spent in ensuring quality and temperate air for all students and staff in the district before it is spent on flashier items that do not directly reflect all students. Thank you.
The next 3 speakers are Charles Mossberger, Camilla Mulhall, and Michelle Green.
Hello, my name is Charles Mossberger. I'm an incoming senior at Novato High School. And for the entire time I've been going through the Novato School District, I've been at schools that didn't have air conditioning. Lou Sutton, which still doesn't have air conditioning, San Jose, which has it now but didn't when I was there, and now Novato High School. I can tell you from personal experience that it is such a pain to be in a classroom in this 80+ degree heat and trying to focus on various assignments that I have, tests that I have to take. If the temperatures get this hot, it hurts the learning environment. As Ms. Shu said with the study that she brought up, places that have air conditioning don't see that drop in performance that places that don't have air conditioning have. It's an issue, it's a basic need. As we're going through finals at the end of the year, there's students that can't come because of, they have asthma, they have other issues that make it more difficult for them to come. As I went through elementary school and middle school, skipping school was easier if I felt sick because of the heat. But now that I'm in high school, it's a lot harder to just miss a day of school because I'm feeling nauseous. You have to go, because if you don't, you're going to miss out on a lot of learning that goes on during the day. In high school, it's not something you can just do, skipping a day of class. You're going to be so far behind when you get back. With air conditioning, that wouldn't be a problem. I also have a little sister. I'm going to be leaving next year, so this isn't as huge of an issue for me, but I have a little sister who's going into 5th grade in Lou Sutton. There are many days a year, especially when it gets hotter in the summer, where she comes home sick, or she doesn't want to go to school because she's scared she's going to get sick from the heat. That's not acceptable. That's not okay. She shouldn't be scared of having to go to school because she's going to get sick. With air conditioning in all these other schools, why do we have to stay without air conditioning? How does that make sense for us? We are now in a lower quality learning environment than these other schools are. It's a disadvantage to us, and it really hurts our learning capabilities. It's distracting, and air conditioning now, more than ever, is a basic need. It's only going to get hotter. It's not going to start getting any cooler soon. There's not going to be any less fires in the future. This is a basic need now. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Camila Mohal, and my son goes to Lou Sutton. When the school year starts, 9 out of 12 district schools will have AC as part of the measureship bond. Lou Sutton needs the same for its faculty and students. Several stakeholders comprised of parents, PTA members, students, and staff feel like this should have already been instituted in phase 1 of this bond rollout. Staff fully voted for this when the bond passed. We are not only asking for further discussion, but also an action item on the agenda to secure a comprehensive plan to immediately address the need of the students and staff when the school year begins. We know that students and teachers suffer in these hot conditions, according to this letter that is attached here. The heat index will continue to multiply, and we are concerned for the health and well-being of the students. When the temperatures in the classroom is 83 degrees, it's not conducive to learning. And when it's hot like that, there's no relief for students. It's difficult for them to focus, and they're more irritable. Teachers are also addressing health concerns a lot more, specifically with overheating, dehydration, and a younger student does not recognize when they're too hot or they need to drink more water. The classroom, it starts hot and just gets hotter throughout the day, and there's no opportunity to cool off at all. Teachers bring their own fans from home to try to relieve students. They're so miserable throughout the days, and Lou Sutton community is requesting that this issue is made a priority. Over half of the community at Lou Sutton is made of socioeconomically disadvantaged students. Approximately 55% of our students are also not white. This brings into question the equity imperative mission statement that NUSD prides itself on. To quote, "We must address the educational needs of our traditionally marginalized students," and Lou Sutton, Rancho, and Novato High School all central Novato schools are left without air conditioning, and this is clearly an issue of equity that we implore you to address. Please add this to agenda and the community, and we'll be the same page with the plan and timeline to install the AC at Lucenton. Thank you.
Okay, I'll talk briefly also about just equity regarding the AC in our district. My name is Michelle Green. I was a student of the Novato School District. I went to Linwood, San Jose, Novato High. I have 2 children at Lucenton currently and another one that will be there in a few years. I live and work in the community, and I took a night away from my kids to be here tonight because I think this is so important. We just need to make sure that all the schools in our district have an equal footing and everyone has an equal opportunity to learn. Per the California dashboard, Lucenton is comprised of 58% socioeconomically disadvantaged students. Novato High has 40% and Rancho has over 30%. The board needs to consider these optics per the district and the referred to equity imperative. The district's committed to examining inequitable outcomes and experiences for any student, and air quality seems like one of those basic experiences that is important, should be equitable, and addressed across the board.
Thank you. All right, our next 3 speakers are Yari Zempolteca Sanchez, Gianna Corsetti, Christina Corsetti.
Hello, my name is Yaire Sampaldeca, and I will be a senior this year at Novato High School. And so I don't think it's fair that we have to go back. I mean, I think that we don't enjoy our learning as much when we're sitting in the heat, and I don't think it's fair that teachers are spending their money on buying fans. I think the school should supply the air conditioning, and I'm a student that has migraines, and it's not very fun for me to go through my headaches in that heat. And it also causes me to be really moody. And so I just think that we will relax more and enjoy our learning if we have air conditioning. And also, we won't have that many students walking around our campus just because they feel like they will feel less heat than staying inside the room. And I remember this one time where it was 7th period. All of my avid classmates sat down in their classrooms, and all we were doing is complaining about the heat. And our teacher tried putting on all the fans, but nothing helped cool us down. And all we were thinking of was like when we were going to be released, so that way we can go to a much cooler area. But that distracts us from our learning and trying to accomplish our goals. Thank you.
You're good.
Good evening. My name is Gianna Corsetti. I just completed 1st grade at Lucenton Elementary. I love my school. I got perfect attendance award. It was hard for me to focus when my classroom got too hot. My teacher, Miss Mirvalli, put fans and tried to keep it cool, but it was stuffy. It was uncomfortable. During the last week of June, I looked forward to the day of play. My mom picked me up early at lunchtime because it was too hot to stay until 3:10 p.m. I hope it doesn't happen again in 2nd grade. Please get AC at Lucenton. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christina Corsetti, and I'm speaking this evening both as a concerned parent and as a concerned teacher. My daughter just finished 1st grade at Lucenton Elementary School, and I will be going into my 14th year teaching at Novato High School. I am encouraging board discussion about the lack of air conditioning at 3 Novato Unified School sites, Novato High School, Lucenton, and Rancho. I'm requesting that this item be officially put on the August 20th board agenda since it did not happen this time around.
I'm hoping that board members have gotten a chance to review the letter and packet of information that was dropped off at the district office last week. I am taking this opportunity to review some of the significant points for public record. Classrooms are exceeding recommended research-based temperatures of 78 degrees at Novato High School and Lou Sutton Elementary. The California State PTA notes that recent research has shown a direct correlation between student learning and classroom temperatures. Heat stress has shown to decrease productivity and academic achievement. A decrease in test scores is shown in several studies to begin at 81 degrees. The last week of the 2019 school year reached temperatures of 105 degrees, and this was finals week at Novato High School. In the packet provided, we included a picture taken inside a classroom that shows the temperature at 89 degrees, and this was all before 12:30 p.m. Students had no choice but to take their final exams in sweltering classrooms with 35 students and deal with not only the harmful effect of the heat, but also potentially low exam test scores. 2 weeks ago, the Marin Independent Journal published report, Marin's extremely hot days poised to multiply. The article states that Marin County can expect at least 34 more days when temperatures exceed 90 degrees. Dr. Matt Willis, Marin County's public health officer, stated, "We're already seeing the effects. We've had to take some new steps to protect our community in heat emergencies, including the identification of designated cooling centers across the county as air-conditioned, publicly accessible places people can go to escape the heat during the day. Students attending Novato Unified schools should be in an air-conditioned environment while they receive their education during these heat emergencies." At the November 14, 2017 board meeting, temperature data analysis was provided. The temperature analysis does show Lou Sutton exceeding OSHA recommended temperature ranges of 78 degrees, and Novato High School does not appear on this particular analysis. We are requesting further explanation of the study as we see several variables that are unaddressed, such as what the average means. Were all classrooms across the campuses measured, at what time of day, and for how long? The study also does not seem to measure humidity nor the heat index. Air conditioning for Novato High School was designated as a project in the facilities master plan, but not identified by the board implementation committee and board as part of phase 1 allocation. Why? I know I'm up. Am I up? Okay. AC promotes concentration for students and creates better air quality in the classroom. As a parent and as a teacher, I'm requesting further discussion. Thank you.
The next three speakers are David Kuklin, Heidi Joseph. He had to go, okay. So that one. Heidi Joseph, Elena McAlpine, I think it is. Elena is not here? Okay. So then I had Heidi Joseph, Mark Perry, and Karen McCormish. And then I'll just read off the other two, Mike Globe and then Ross Sargent. So I've read off 5 names there. Hi, Heidi.
Hi, my name's Heidi Joseph, and I'm a kindergarten teacher at Lou Sutton. This will be my 19th year teaching in the Novato Unified School District, and it's my 15th year at Lou Sutton. I know everybody here wants what's best for kids. We want happy, healthy, engaged, and academically successful students. At Lou Sutton, we follow the Healthy Schools Initiative. We exercise daily with our In Motion program. We encourage kids to read and limit screen time and make good choices. We immerse ourselves in creating a caring culture in which all students feel heard and valued. We have a beautiful school campus decorated with colorful collaborative murals, a lush and thriving school garden. We even have a maker space. We nurture our students' goals of academic excellence. We have so much, but we don't have air conditioning. On June 11th at 12:45 in the afternoon, I took a picture of my classroom thermostat, and it was 80 degrees inside, and it was over 100 degrees outside. When the kids came in from recess, they looked like they'd been swimming in their clothes. It was really hard to cool off 22 sweaty kids with one water fountain and one box fan. Kids can't concentrate in that kind of heat. It's not conducive to learning, and that was June. September and October are really the hottest months. To cool off my classroom, I often have to arrive around 7 o'clock in the morning to open the doors, and honestly, after a couple days of high 90s, the room just doesn't cool down at all. Last October, the trapped smoke from the fires required us to stay inside for days to protect the kids from unhealthy air, but without air conditioning, the air inside the classroom was hot and probably as unhealthy as it was outside. Students do not thrive in muggy, stifling environments. It's hard to focus on academic tasks when you are physically uncomfortable. With climate changes, we expect hotter temperatures and, sadly, more fires. Lou-Sutton students need air conditioning for their health, their happiness, and their academic success.
Thank you. I'm Mark Perry. I'm a teacher. I'm also a parent of a Rancho Elementary School kindergartner, and I'm also a PTA board member at Rancho. I'm here to talk about air conditioning along with everybody else. A lot of my points have been taken already, but what I want to say is that it's important to understand that when you have air conditioning, the air quality in your building is better. And so as we have increased fires, it is important to have air conditioning to help our students and our children. As a teacher, I know that when it is hot, not only are your students not interested in learning, but I myself am not interested in teaching. We're all trying to get out of there, looking at the clock. And so I feel for all the teachers here who have to put up with temperatures in the upper 80s, because if my classroom gets in the upper 70s, I'm ready to call it a day. So I just urge everyone to think about air conditioning for all schools. It clearly is an equity issue, as has been brought up. And it's important to understand that the hottest days of the year usually come during our high-stakes testing days. And if parents keep their kids home from school, we lose money anyway due to absenteeism, which we could have spent on air conditioning in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you. I can go over. Just hi, my name's Kara McCormish. I'm in my 9th year at Loma Verde Elementary School, and I think that Lou-Sutton needs air conditioning too, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I also think that Rancho and Novato High should get it, and I do think that it is an equity issue, which is one of the arguments that I brought forward also, or stood with, for Loma Verde to get their air conditioning, which is going to be finished any day now. I want to read you a line from NUSD's vision statement. It says that Novato Unified School District will provide an innovative and personal learning experience for every student in a caring and supportive environment. And one of the first steps in providing this caring and supportive environment is when an elementary school goes through their class placement. So class placement is when all the teachers get together from one grade level and you go to the next grade level and you start talking about what is the best fit teacher, what is the best fit groupings of other students who are going to be in the classes. And we spent a lot of time on during the last week of school with this class placement. I think it's really important. The week following this past year, there are several of our 4th and 5th grade teachers that teach a camp called Camp Invention, and we were over at Lou-Sutton teaching that camp, and we got an email from our principal, and it stated that despite her best efforts, we were not hiring a replacement for one of our retirees. Instead, we would take our class placement from 5 teachers to 4, and the 5th teacher would change grade levels to replace the retiree. I personally felt once again that it was an us against them, the district office versus the school site, where the district office is trying to cram the maximum number of students into a classroom with the fewest number of teachers. So we went from being a classroom of 27 and 28 in 4th grade and 3 5th grade classrooms, but that are, yes, on the smaller side, but 22, 23, and 23, to a classroom of 32, which is the maximum by state law that you can have, wherein the teacher has to be paid an extra 20% of their salary based on our contract. And then a split where you have 23 4th graders in with 7 5th graders. And I know from a fact, because I've taught splits for the last 2 years, that when you introduce a split to parents at the last minute, and it's done for money and not for purpose, then it's not a good idea, and you're going to get a lot of kickback. And a lot of times that falls on a teacher in a school site and not on the district office per se. So I spent a lot of time reading the NUSD board policies over the summer. And it's not exciting reading, so I do appreciate your leadership and interest in knowing these policies yourself. But I was trying to understand if the NUSD board has a policy in place regarding class size in elementary school, or even split classes, because I don't know if you've ever had a child in a split grade class. It can be a great experience, and I'm not saying something goes against that, but I just think that for not knowing 2 weeks before school starts whether we're going to have four classes or 5 classes in the 4th, 5th grade area is very, very frustrating. And this information until today has not been made public. So there are going to be parents that don't even know that their child might be in a split. And I think it's wrong. I don't think we're serving our community the best way we can. So my ask, my request to the board, our new superintendent and our new HR assistant superintendent, we need to work together. We need to plan carefully, and we need to set up the best environment for our students and prepare ourselves. Without knowing what we're teaching, we can't put the careful planning that is essential into our classrooms. Thank you.
So is Mike Globe here? Is he still here?
He just left. I think he
Okay,
had
then
a
you're
prior
up,
engagement.
Ross,
So. Okay, so my name is Ross Sargent, and I'm a parent of a rising senior at San Marin and a future San Marin Mustang. I'm a youth coach and president of the San Marin All Sports Boosters. But before I begin, I want to talk about just gratitude. I want to thank you all for your service to our community and to your time in listening and addressing these important issues. So with that said, I want to take us back to the ironically named warning track of the San Marin baseball field. It's really the most dangerous, arguably the most dangerous part of our San Marin baseball facility. And I encourage you to go see the photos that Kristen McAndrew took. They're all along the back wall there. She took them 2 days ago. She's one of our booster officers and San Marin parents, so please do that. They illustrate it greatly. So the warning track at San Marin, I'm not sure you've seen it, but in any season, it's a daunting, perhaps formidable landscape. I mean, in the winter, it is a swamp, and in the summer, it is cracked like a lake bed, sloping down with massive cracks. I think we heard about an injury already, at least one injury that occurred right there. But it's not just the ground, because what does it lead to? An even more nightmarish obstacle are these massively exposed, probably 2 feet, 3 feet diameter concrete blocks, and they're jagged like Hawaiian lava, right? The lava, I guess. Like, look out, you're going to be sliced open if you hit that thing. So I invite you to look at that. So there's grooves, there's weeds. It is a total mess and again, nightmarish. We have a solution. Move the fence in immediately, in addition to the other work out there that was previously mentioned. Move the fence in by 25 feet. It would go up to the level ground. It would remove the blocks, the old blocks, from danger. It would remove us from the ruts and weeds out there. And then looking to the future, that 25-foot buffer between the old fence and the new fence would be a nice usable space in the future, for future use and spectators and other even safety precautions. So we have a simple solution for you, but we greatly appreciate you addressing this most concerning danger. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our public.
I traded with Mark Schmidt.
Oh, you're Jamie.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Give me a quick minute here.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
First and foremost, thanks for having me. And most importantly, thanks for all the support from our 10 returning seniors, some former parents and current parents to show all the support hopefully sends even stronger message. I'm the baseball coach. I'm Jamie Vichwoni. I've been coaching baseball at San Marin for 14 years. This will be my 7th year as the varsity coach. Put a lot of time and effort over the years. I was taught by a wise man, Mark Whitburn, who was the coach there for 28 years. He also went to school there. So he had a lot of pride in this facility, and I've come to the point where I felt like I've let him down. He was there last week and gave me a phone call and said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Well, I was advised to take the summer off from maintaining the field because I've done it, over the last 7 years, and he taught me that way, that if you want it done right, you got to take care of it yourself." Well, after talking with some people and seeing what the Measure G's come to and what other facilities are getting, it was time for me to let it go and see what was going to get done. I have now learned recently that, yes, we do have some upgrades and updates to our facilities crew, and things will be happening. But that good old saying that action speaks louder than words, because I've been told for a couple years that stuff will get done, and it hasn't been done. It's to the point now where it's, a safety issue, and of course, when people start getting hurt, things start to get fixed. We had this year the most injuries I've ever had as a coach, and unfortunately about 3 or 4 of them were big ones, and they were field related, something that could have been avoided. So now these kids, suffer losing out a year of playing baseball because of, I think, a simple fix. We do have the pictures here to show what the field looks like as of, I believe, yesterday or 2 days ago. It's disheartening. It hurts because I put a lot of effort and love into it. And, these guys, all these kids and these families have been coming out years. I think it was said earlier, in the fall and the winter, beginning of the season, we always come out and put in 2-3 days of work. Something that if it's maintained properly, it probably doesn't have to be that much time and effort into it by parents and kids. So I beg that we do something to keep it safe for this season, and then I know we can break it in parts, and over the next couple years will be our turn for the Measure G to improve our baseball facility. So with that being said, thank you for your time.
All right, that concludes our non-agenda public comment. If you guys want to leave those pictures for us to be able to look at, and we'll get them back to you. It's up to you guys. Leave it right there on the end of the table. We'd love to take a look at those further. So let me just say this to everybody. Your voice is truly important to us. We ask for your voice, a student voice, parent voice, teacher voice, community voice, when it's a positive item, and even when it's a negative item. And this isn't a negative item, it's just something we have to do and it's a change that we need to make. So know that it's important, and we appreciate you coming out this evening and taking time away from your family to speak to this board, and know that we heard you. So thank you. Okay, well, the board does need to continue on with their meeting this evening, so if we could hold your conversations out in the foyer, I'd really appreciate it so that we can move on. We have some other items on our agenda, and one of the more important ones is the first one up, if you want to learn about curriculum instruction and what the plan is for the next several years. So I invite up Amy. Do you want to come up, and we'll just sort of get yourself. Hello.
Perfect. All right, good evening, by your leave. All right, tonight I am excited to present to you the 2022 Education Services Roadmap. We've entitled this Keeping All Doors Open. By way of kind of a reminder of this task, last fall we identified a critical need for our system to create a more cohesive strategy. We had a lot of really wonderful things going on, but we felt the need to pull these threads together and create something that told a better story about our system. I want to start off by highlighting our vision. NUSD will provide an innovative and personalized learning experience for every student in a caring and supportive environment to develop the knowledge and skills necessary to be successful and productive citizens. NUSD has defined that for ourselves with the help of our educators, and that is our graduate profile, our 6 C's. And so our task as an education services team was, how do we operationalize those things? These are lofty goals, ambitious goals, but what do they mean? How do we put those into practice? So I have to credit Director Larson for this nice little highlighting piece here. But on the next slide, let's see, nope. You'll see that our 3 strategies correlate to our vision. So the answer to how will we create an innovative and personalized learning experience is through multiple tiered systems of support. The answer to a caring and supportive environment is our goal setting for culture of caring in our strategic plan. And the answer for how will we make sure our students develop the knowledge and skills necessary is through proficiency-based education. I don't imagine any of these 3 are a surprise to you. We've been talking about them all year as we've been coming together and landing on these important topics. How did we come about this plan? We started by really gathering all of our guiding documents, our equity plan, our LCAP. We pulled in the work of the differentiated assistance team last year. We looked at the dashboard, state priorities, and we engaged in a listening tour in which we spoke to teachers and educators about what was important to them. This all culminated in a meeting in the spring where we gave our administrators every goal that they'd been given in this district, and it amounted to 120 items. And we said, help us find focus. We found in that meeting that it was our elementary principals were incredibly dedicated to the P3 work, and that was important to them that they maintain those 3 elements. And our secondary team was able to arrive on consensus around multiple tiered systems of support and proficiency-based education and a culture of caring. So using those elements, we brought those back to the LCAP team. We got some feedback from the LCAP team and the DLAC team, pulled these things all together, and the final work product is the work you see before you. Each one of our strategies have been heavily researched by the education department team. We've made sure that these strategies are ones that are not only research-based but evidence-based, and that all other districts that are utilizing strategies are seeing successful results. It's important to us and to our superintendent to make sure that Novato is positioned right in the middle of what is successful, what is works, and making sure that we are building our structures and asking our staff to engage in practices that are tried and true. Multiple tiered systems support, I'm just going to give you a really high level. We'll bring each of these goals back in the future and break them down a little bit better for you. We've talked a little bit about multiple systems of support. This came out of our special ed audit. They really emphasized for us that this framework is one that could serve Novato Unified and help special education do their work better. Multiple tiered systems of support is basically a continuum of services. Every student gets first best research-based practice instruction in all of our general education classrooms. This is the most quality instructional strategies throughout the district. And that will pretty much serve about 80% of our students will find success. Research shows that first best instruction is going to get most of our kids. But there are times when we see kids who struggle, and that is a time when we escalate into what's called a Tier 2 strategies. And this is a more intense, high-quality, evidence-based instructional practice to make sure that the elements that those children struggle with are addressed in short-term remediation strategies, and the goal being that they return back to Tier 1 instruction. Of course, we all know that there are times when that intensive intervention doesn't serve our students, and so that is when it's time to maybe do some assessments and see if some of the offerings that we have in special education might be more suitable for that child. That should be about 5% of our students, and right now I believe in Nevada we're at about 8%. All right, real simple graphic for you. Tier 1 differentiated instruction, most of your kids are gonna get it. You might have 3 little ones who need a little intensive intervention. This can be a small group at the back of the table or a pop-out or something during one of our secondary tutorials. And when a child fails to find success, we escalate to Tier 3. Our second goal, proficiency-based education. You've heard a lot from us about this. This is our partnership with Marzano Research Strategy. And this is really operationalizing both vertically and horizontally our curriculum and making sure that we're very clear about what mastery is in Novato Unified and making sure that our students are acquiring the knowledge and skills that are on the graduate profile. This is not new to America. This is a 2017 snapshot of all the states that are engaged in proficiency-based education. You can see by that graphic that California is sort of lagging behind that, but the rest of the nation is very much enmeshed in this work. So because of that, we have a lot of great models to follow. We've seen systems make missteps, which we're going to learn from. And so as we look at this, I do want to make it clear that while it may be somewhat novel in the state of California, on the national scale, Maine has been doing this work for over 8 years, I think. So. All right, so we've talked to you about the poka-yoke moments, making sure that we have elements built in our system where alarm bells ring and we know that that 3rd grade student is about to go into 4th grade without literacy mastery, and making sure that we've tracked that child, we know where they are, and we know how to intervene. Our 3rd goal is the culture of caring. And this is really something that we're going to focus on our first day back kind of mini conference with all of our staff. What we're focusing on here is really, we've talked about how in education we're just seeing a tsunami of issues related to anxiety, social emotional health, and focusing on the fact that neurological research is showing us that some of these experiences that children have early in life or throughout their life are actually affecting how they're showing up in the classroom. And so there are ways that we can be shaping our instruction to make sure that we are addressing that trauma. Again, this isn't something new. Maslow's hierarchy of need, our children need to feel safe. They need to have food in their stomachs. They need to have a sense of self-esteem before they're able to do those high-level thinking activities that we are asking for in the classroom. This has really been heavily embedded in our P3 work, and so a lot of what we're doing is scaling it up into the secondary system. Along with the trauma-informed instruction, we're expanding the restorative justice practices that we have in our system. Again, a lot of this work is coming to us supported through the Haas grant, but we're going to start to see enhancement around the restorative justice practices. I believe in the June meeting, I talked to you about the disciplinary reform that's taking place in our nation, and restorative justice is one of those practices that we want to make sure begins to take hold in Novato Unified. So you have the whole plan before you. We have really broken down the steps that we took last year to get where we are now. We're forecasting for you the steps that are ahead of us. We spent hours and days and weeks getting Post-it notes, trying to really capture every element in Novato Unified and making sure that everything we did was deliberate. One thing that I do want to note for the board is on page 20, our education services organizational chart. Along with each of these goals, we've ensured that there is a coordinator in education services who is responsible for the delivery on this goal and driving this goal, doing a better job distributing the work and making sure that someone has an eye on the football throughout the year. We're very proud of this document, and if we receive a positive feedback from the board, we're ready to go live and share this with our community, our teachers. We think that it'll offer a lot of clarity to our staff. Our principals can't wait to start using it. One of the elements that we're giving our principals next year is really simple goals, 3 simple elements. So we're very excited about the power of this. If you go to Rancho Elementary, you're going to see them working at 3 simple goals. If you go to Sinaloa, 3 same simple goals. San Marin High School, 3 simple goals. We feel like there is great power in honing in on 3 simple priorities, and we're excited to really do something that feels like we're all rowing in the same direction as a team, establishing common language, and leveraging the power of that unity across our system. Thank you.
Nicely done, thank you. Board members, Trustee Gasson and Trustee Nell.
Hi, thanks for doing all this and for the packet tonight. The presentation that you just did, can we get that put up on the online? That would be great. The other thing I wanted to actually ask, and you touched on it a little bit, and it was something I had started, was the universal screeners.
Mm-hmm.
So some of this comes into play because I've been going to the special ed meetings and things like that. So is there something that we're implementing new for that screener, and is it going to be something that we can use to, I guess my concern is I want to make sure that it's consistent so that we can make sure we don't miss kids, that there's a tracking, because that has come up.
Yep. Absolutely. So these universal screenings, we are already, there's quite a few of these in place already for math, for English. We feel the need as a system to be doing something also around socio-emotional health and identifying those kids who might need a little extra counseling or support from us. We're working with the national expert, Diana Browning-Wright, who has some recommended screeners that she'll bring to our team of psychologists and counselors. And we'll pick something that works, but we do want to be doing sort of those regular check-ins on the emotional state of our students to make sure that we're cognizant of when children may need more from us.
Okay, and I guess part of my question goes to, I don't know if there's an online format, and I'm learning all this, so it may not come out exactly right, but making sure that we have, like when they go from one school to the middle school, that there's this, so that everyone's on the same page and they don't have to repeat or, that information being missed, I guess is where I'm going in my head to make sure that we're okay. So
and our clearinghouse for that is our data matters system. So we're able to make sure that that data is following a child all the way through.
Okay. So my other question, and I've looked at all of it, some of it I think I just have to learn exactly what it means, but a lot of the components in here, I'm just curious in terms of like financial significance, like has that been factored in so that we make sure that, we've got a great plan, we're doing these great things, but do we have, I don't want to get partway down and then like, oh, well, we have no money or we can't do that. So has there been some financial analysis, or does Yancey have the information so that our budget can adjust to what we're incorporating?
And we've really planned for the future on this. We've taken a real conservative approach. We're using our low performance student block grant to drive 2 of the goals, both proficiency-based education and multiple tiered system of support. So that's state dollars that are given to us to make sure that we're closing the achievement gap and making sure that every child succeeds. We're fortunate enough to have the Haas Foundation, who is funding a lot of our culture of caring work, both for elementary through P3 and through the restorative justice work.
So how long, though, does that take us through to? I know that some of those are just like short-term. Are these things that we can, I guess I just don't want to spend all this time and effort and then that I hear you say.
So I can talk to the Haas Foundation money. When we worked with them, they know that this is ongoing work that we're doing. We didn't talk about a duration, but we also didn't talk about it being a one-time expenditure. So this is work that they've supported in the long haul. They've supported Healthy Novato for a long time, and I anticipate they continue to support that work. Part of the reason we've built this system the way we built it is because it's going to enhance what we've been doing. They found that we've done some good work, but they want us to do better, and so they're helping us build this system to do better. So I don't anticipate that they're going to pull the rug out from under us on that. Yeah.
Perfect. And great. And I think that actually indirectly answers my last question about the restorative. There was the social emotional restorative justice piece. I saw Phoebe's name on the HR personnel sheet. So is that, and I know that's funded separately, right? But she's the component that comes up through this, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So she'll be one of our practitioners, and we are sending her so much of our plan. As you read it, you'll see that we are focused on building capacity in Novato. We don't want to be dependent on outside contractors for any of this work. We want to build capacity. And so Phoebe, we're sending her to be a trainer of trainers so that she can now come back and be a restorative justice trainer, certified trainer through Seeds of Berkeley for the entire system.
Trustee Nell?
This is a big subject, so and I don't want to be here all night, and I don't want
highlights.
But I think it's admirable. I think everyone is impressed. It's great to have a plan, and I really love the idea of all this. It's the implementation part that I guess I'm going to ask you to sort of summarize a little bit and try to articulate, how do you see this going down and gradually affecting the district as a whole, and how will we know? We have a matrix of planned action and certain steps in here, and I go through this, and this is just great, but then I know my real life experience with something like a 504 plan and having staff, maybe not wanting to be, involved as much as with that type of thing. And it's not everyone. I don't want to overgeneralize, but I know what the challenges are going to be. It starts out with the typical alphabet soup that we've probably all been working with for a long time. But I do really admire the way you guys have structured this and sort of put it together. And it's really master's in business administration work here. So.
Oh, we got skills upstairs.
Yeah.
I share your
But now here's this. So this is the part that I just wanted to give you summarize and help me understand and what we can do. But it's we have to implement this, so that means we got to sort of disseminate the information. There's going to be a lot of persuasion involved here, getting people to buy in. Eventually, we're going to have measurement towards accountability, and finally, some consequences. And then how are we going to make sure that the headwinds are breaking down and that the non-cooperators are counseled out? And so, that's me talking. So I'm not asking. I just want to have you maybe explain a little more summary about the implementation and how we're going to get there and what that's going to look like.
I share your skepticism. We know that a lot of educational initiatives fall flat on their face. There was a recent study this summer around multiple tiered systems of support, and 83% of school districts said, yes, we have multiple tiered systems of support. And when the researchers analyzed their system, 3% did. So one thing that we have taken into account in this plan is we're working with some of the industry's best. Marzano Research is the gold standard for all things academic, and they're going to be walking with us step by step. They have the playbook. They've made the mistakes in other districts. They know how to coach us to ensure that we're doing this properly. Diana Bryan Wright has an extensive career. She's very well known across the nation. She's in the beginnings of retirement, and she's taken on, I think, 5 clients. One of them is the entire state of California and Nevada Unified School District, because she happens to have family here. So we are partnering with people that we know are the best in the industry, who can make sure that we're placing our feet in the right location. I have a doctorate in organizational change leadership. And so we are focused on how do we change the organization, how do we get that messaging out. As far as persuasion, I do want the board to understand that this is a plan that was done with extensive teacher input. They are the ones telling us that we need to improve our system structures. They are the ones telling us that they're dealing with students with anxiety and they don't have the toolkit to address that. They are the ones telling us that 250 standards is too much and that they're getting 11th graders that don't understand fractions, and we need to solve that as a system. So I think the buy-in is already there. Last year, the education services team took some kind of preliminary elements of this on a roadshow, and I think there's high knowledge in the system that this is where we're headed, and frankly, a lot of excitement.
So, thank you.
I'll get you there.
That was awesome. I
And
was
the way
unaware
that-
of your organizational,
yeah.
that's.
And if I
point
may,
change.
the way that you can keep us accountable is next year I'll be standing in front of you with this same plan. I'll be telling you about any obstacles that we encountered and any adjustments that we've made, and those elements that right now are listed for you for the upcoming school year. Our team is responsible to deliver on those elements.
I would just add that, in addition to accountability on the part of the board, but also I think we have a responsibility to be part of the process. So if there's anything we can do is along the lines of formalizing ARs, board policy, budgetary priorities, these are things that you should bring forward and you should talk to us about.
Thank you. And there will be a point where we do need to look at the grading policy. So, and I'm ready to go at it.
Just to add to that, the board's meeting this weekend about goals, and much of our goals, student success, staff success, and will come from this document, I think. It will be driven by this document. So we'll be talking more about that. Yeah, very quick, and then I have Trustee Cooper. I have other trustees wanting to speak, but if you have something quick, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you. I know you both did a heck of a lot of work, and not just the two of you. I'm sure the whole team did. Very quick question: 120 goals. Some of those things that are kind of falling by the wayside. I'm kind of curious.
Yep.
What things are we kind of moving off to the
Yep.
side now?
I think one of the books that our superintendent has referenced a lot in his communication to us, Superintendent Koska, is Good to Great. And one of the things, the points that Jim Collins makes in that book is if you have more than 3 priorities, you don't have priorities. And so this has been a big driver, a important mind shift. And you look at all those elements, and there are a lot of things that fall under that maybe were inappropriate to simply give as goals since they achieve the larger goal. But Superintendent Koska's real mandate to us is be simple, be laser focused, and stay the course until you achieve success. Yep.
All right, Trustee Cooper, and then Trustee Millerick.
So I echo everyone's appreciation for everybody doing this report. It's a great plan, and I see that you definitely will be tweaking it, fine-tuning it every year. It's a big document, if you will. Got a lot of content, a lot of meat to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you will be coming back. The Indigo assessments, I like those. I think it's pretty important piece. Are you looking, so that's just at the high school level right now? Or where is that at? Just high school? Are you looking at bringing it further down?
At this point, we aren't looking at moving it down, although they are starting a new program that would allow us to license all kids, and then that would allow us to do so.
Got it. And then the restorative justice piece, where are we at on that also? Is that's kind of spattered throughout the district, not necessarily, I know PV has it, I know various schools have it. it's going to be uniform across the district, yes?
Yep. We have hired specific restorative justice coaches. That's
Phoebe.
where Phoebe comes in, and Tanya, and some great work there. They are focused on the secondary team, and we are partnering with Seeds of Berkeley to do restorative justice in the elementary schools. And actually, at our kickoff event on the 19th, we'll get an opportunity to hear from Seeds of Justice, so kindergarten through senior educators around sort of that mindset and what research is showing about that practice.
And so then reduce that suspension rate, reduce the truancy rate, and so on and so forth.
Yep.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you.
Yep.
Trustee Miller?
Couple of questions and discussion points. So could you go to your pyramid? Perfect. So I look at that, and then I looked on the report that you provided on page 2, which has got the green, orange, red stoplight chart. And I just took the top line in it, and if I go over to English standard not met, 22%, math standard not met, 27%. So if I map the percentages here to the percentages there, this looks like 5% need additional support, but it looks like currently we're more like 25%, 27% need additional support. So is this too optimistic a view on this chart, or what?
Yep.
This represents a whole lot more work
Yeah.
than that chart.
Yep, and I think our
bigger
high
challenges.
stakes assessment is not really a one-to-one pairing with the mindset of MTSS. The national data and the national research gives us these sort of benchmark numbers to strive for as a system, and they're sort of recommending by the time you're looking at 27%, 1 out of 3 of your students are not mastering. You don't need to take them anywhere. You keep them in the classroom and you circle back. You give those who have mastered it an opportunity for enrichment, and you make sure that third of the class gets that first best instruction until they reach that mastery.
So it looks to me like, I think your point, I think, is you stay in the green section down there where the 80% is. With this kind of population right now, what's on the board may be what you want to achieve, but you got to start by doing the hard slog in the beginning.
Yep.
Okay. So that's, I mean, because
steal that word, the hard slog.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I think this is just all hard work. And then the other question I got is, in order to be able to effectively have this measured assessment, you have to be able to pick up data and understand it pretty quickly and be pretty agile about moving a particular student in and out of these different tiers of support. Is our data collection system up to that task?
It's getting there. I don't think we're quite there yet, but it's getting there. The possibility that is inherent in data matters is limitless. That's quickly becoming one of our best tools. We just demonstrated it at San Marin High School, and they can't wait for that data to be coming out in a way that's meaningful, that drives instruction. Everything that we're doing with MTSS is trying to tell the data story around the child so that we're able to, an elementary principal can quickly look at their data and know which one of their third graders has a literacy issue that might need some support, so that a high school principal or teacher is able to look at that snapshot data. Data matters is our best hope in that regard, and it's quickly becoming one of the most effective educational tools that I've seen in my whole career.
Okay. And then one last discussion topic. Over the next year, you're implementing a new level of technology in some key classrooms to begin the year, and during the course of the year expand that to multiple classrooms. Screen shares, better screens, Chromebooks for the final flight of students, better tools that the instructional department has put together. You're doing a significant uplift in the methods we use to deliver instruction. At the same time, you have to be doing this work to improve every student's destiny, because if you miss a student this year, they graduate and you don't have a chance to go back and do it again. This is, they get one pass through the system, and we have to be about this very fast. That's a challenge. How do you, besides me worrying about it, how do you worry about it?
I don't sleep well. No. So I have to credit Tim for the work that he's done to make sure that our teacher leaders, this is our individuals in the system who have willingly stepped up and said, I will help drive curriculum. They've joined the education services team, and it's their voice that will really inform any evolution on our plan. But these are also the same individuals that we've asked to sort of be our scouting team with technology, and they have been given what we hope will soon be the sort of standard norm for Novato educators. But they're out there really trying out these new tools and giving us feedback, saying this one won't work, this one you need to do better. Simultaneously, Tim has created a teacher blog where they can go and get information. So they know that part of their service to our system is to test these tools out and communicate to us what's meaningful, what else we need to do. And then once we have something that we know is successful, scale it up into the system. So we have teachers on that team from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade who are out there doing that early scouting work for us.
All right, that wraps up this item. And just to say, this is hard work, but it's the right work. And this is what our focus is here. This is what we're all about. And I know it feels like we're constantly shifting. We've been on this board long enough where it feels like we're always changing, but we're building on what we've done, and we're making it better. We're serving the whole child much more so. When we've always tried to really make sure we're serving the whole child. I think this is definitely a much better step in the right direction, and so thank you very much. And we look more.
I think with Superintendent Koska at the helm, we're going to be able to really
we should
stay
keep
the
him.
course
He's a
on
keeper.
this. We should
Oh,
keep
okay.
him.
All
Yeah.
right.
So far, so good.
Thank you, and thank you to my team. Appreciate it.
And thank you, Jen. Jen Larson, thank you. Thank you. I know you're a big part of this too, so thanks. All right, moving on, second staff report. This is the Measure G Bond Series B issuance and timeline. Yancy Hawkins will be coming up to present.
All right, thank you. So Measure G was approved by the voters in November of 2016. The $222 million bond was scheduled to be issued in 4 separate issuances, Series A, B, C, and D. Series A, a $51 million issuance, was completed in early 2017, and Series B, C, and D are scheduled for this fall and moving forward. Series B is scheduled for the fall of 2019. Series C is currently scheduled for 2021 or 2022, dependent upon our assessed valuation growth, and Series D is currently scheduled for 2024/2025, depending on our assessed valuation growth in the next couple of years. So tonight I wanted to give you an update that we are going to be scheduled to issue the next Series B in the fall. That issuance is projected to be between $53 and $55 million. The schedule for that issuance is attached to the board cover, but I wanted to just hit on a couple quick important dates. The week of September 9th, we will be having our ratings call with our rating agency. That's always a very important call. As you know, in early 2017, we were able to increase our bond rating and thus lowering the cost of interest to the Novato community. So we were very excited about that, and we're hoping to keep that rating level as we move forward. The board meeting on September 17th, we are scheduled for the board to approve a resolution approving the preliminary official statement. The October 2nd, the bonds are scheduled to be offered for sale in a competitive sale. and on October 16, the sale is scheduled to be completed. This is needed to continue the work of the contracts that the district has already entered into and approved. With that, I am happy to open it up to any questions.
Trustee Miller?
Thank you very much. So I look at this schedule, and we're going to end up with something like $55 million more in the kitty come October 16th, basically the net of it. And we've got funds committed to that purpose. But I also look at this, and in light of the paragraphs on the front page and your discussion about assessed evaluation in the community, the district is going to be at its maximum $60 per $100,000 assessed evaluation for a while. If we had a catastrophe that we needed more cash, we couldn't go back to the voters and run one of these. We couldn't go back and run another bond funding cycle in before 2022 if we wanted to, because we're up against the limitations of the law in terms of assessed evaluation. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, that would be an accurate statement. I would not recommend that the board enter into any additional commitments beyond the approximately $105 million that has been put into that was approved, last fall, before at least 2021, 2022. And so really what we would be looking for would be the assessed valuation in August or September of 2021.
Okay, so I think we're going to need some...
August of 2020.
Right, so I think we're going to need some long conversations, but what I just heard you say is we've got commitments on the books to do a certain amount of construction. Any work beyond that, you're recommending this board not adopt, which would include new field work of any significant dollar amount at San Marin for a baseball field. It would include air conditioning at 3 additional campuses. Those are additional capital requirement expenditures, and we're not going to be in a position, even with this funds coming in, without this board agreeing to spend more money than we've already allocated. And I just heard you say here, without a lot of backup, you wouldn't recommend us making those commitments or expenditures. So I think we need to have a conversation that the community has asked us for, and then we need to think about. But we are dollar constrained in a very significant way. There isn't just more money to be pulled from the bond anytime we want. And in addition to that, I believe we're going to be seeing recession times coming to the United States in the next year or so. I think we're going to see some tough economic times. I would like us to think about, of all the things we might use money for, is to put some reserves in place to do deferred maintenances for roofs that are going to be needing to be replaced in 10 years from now. So that conversation I welcome us all having. But this is the first step, and this is just not more money we can go spend fresh. And that's what I heard you say. Yes, we need to do this to cover what we've already done. Don't plan on spending 10 cents of this without some very careful planning by this board and this district and the community together.
Yeah, so and just to clarify, 2021 would be the next time scheduled, and that is based on us continuing to hit our assumptions of assessed value growth. If there were any changes to that assessed value growth, we would obviously have to come to you and alter our plan moving forward for the issuances. One thing that I'm remiss in noting is that this is actually a very good time to issue bonds on the bond market. The bond market is very weak, which is very good for us. Interest rates are very low. And continue to be. So we were very lucky on our Series A issuance, and we projected to be up a good bit on our Series B issuance. But given this, and obviously that my statement could be completely wrong in 2 weeks, but as of right now, and hopefully moving into this fall, we will be in a favorable interest rate environment to issue this second set of bonds. So that is one positive.
Trustee Mack and then Trustee Nell.
And I apologize if I'm a little redundant, but I just want to be crystal clear, kind of restate what Trustee Millick was saying, just to be absolutely clear. So this Series B is funding for the remainder of Phase 1, effectively.
That is correct.
Okay, so to Ross's point, it's entirely spent, out the door, not going to fund a single extra project.
Yes.
Period. Phase 2 can't really happen until we get to Series C at the earliest.
That is correct.
And Series C, those dollars at the earliest would come in month and year.
There's a little bit of flexibility depending, but 2000 likely summer of 2021 or 2022. And 2021 is the rosy projection. Right. 2022 is the okay projection. And if there are any significant decreases in our, I would have to come back to you with updated projections on what that is.
And then the last question I got then is, though, in terms of Phase 2, based on that, breaking ground on any Phase 2 project, summer of 2021 is absolutely optimistic.
That would be the absolute earliest that we could break ground if all.
So more realistically, 2022 summer.
2021, 2022. In a year, I'll give you a.
I don't want to nail you down. I'm just trying to get understanding. Also, I'm kind of doing this rhetorically, so it's on the record, so people start hearing this. But that's it. Thank you.
Yes, but that would be the earliest.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Nell?
I think I'm pretty much on the same page. I was just going to sort of try to recommend maybe either in a communication somehow, but just some more context around the total assessed value. I have some curiosity around where we are with the first bond measure payments and what's left on that. So I was looking for just some more information on in context to attach this. The other questions about obviously the money's already spent and all that part is I've clearly explained, and but good to reiterate it, et cetera. But does that make sense? I'm looking for a bigger, broader picture of the debt and the total assessed value and where we are on that. And I know you have a chart that shows the 2% and going forward, maybe even some prediction. In a graph. I know it's a.
Yeah, we can bring that. We can bring that back. We were planning on bringing that back on September 17th when we moved forward. Is that the proper timetable when we're looking to look at the preliminary official statement?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be plenty. I'm sort of deferring to you. I'm prepared to move ahead. Anyway, I'm just sort of asking for some additional information.
Absolutely.
I'm just curious, like when, after we sell these bonds, when's it going to show up on my property tax?
It will. So
just the very next, the next day, or.
So a majority of the so as Trustee Millerick noted, our projections are about $60 per $100,000 of assessed value each and every year. Now, the Series A obviously has taken up a large chunk of that, especially all of it in the first couple of years, and then a relatively, declining chunk as we move forward. The Series B will move on top of that. So the payment that you will see won't change much during your during the course of this bond. It will be approximately $60 per 100,000. Throughout our issuances. We issue A, B, C, and D. That will all be under that $60 per $100,000 of assessed value. It may be $58.50, it may be $59, but until the very last year or two, it will be very close to that $60 per 100,000 of assessed value.
Okay, I think that's good to explain. as we go forward. So, all right, thank you.
I'm gonna go to Trustee Gasson first, and then Trustee Millerick.
So just going along with that, it raised a question in my head. I presume that the amount that we're paying on our current tax bill is going to be that rate pretty much going forward. So there's not going to be an incremental increase that we're seeing on our individual bills because it's all one flat. I just wanted to reiterate that
That is correct.
okay. Because I think that given the uncertainty of so many different things and things that we're talking about for the future, having, any discussion or possibility that people think it's going to go up the next year will freak people out. So
No.
it's just the way that it is. The amount that I have is the way that it is for the next 15.
The only two caveats that I would note is that assessed valuation on your house goes up by a maximum of 2% each year, so that you would potentially see that. And if there is an overall decline in the overall, which our community saw a very small overall decline, but some of the other areas in the Great Recession saw larger declines, it could go above and beyond because once the bonds are issued, the County of Marin is obligated to do that. But that is very unlikely.
Okay. And I guess the only other thing was, since we're talking about payments and the amount, when does the first one fall off of our tax bill?
I'd have to go get the exact, but
Okay,
I believe
that's
it's 2026 or 2027.
Okay, thank you.
Let's keep telling people that.
Trustee Miller?
The point I was trying to make in this conversation is the maximum this school district can put on a tax bill for a property in Nevada is $60 per $100,000 in assessment. And we're right there. So we can't get more money by issuing another bond measure because we're at the cap. It's like a bus that will only go 55 miles an hour and we got our pedal smashed clear to the floor. And that's, now what we can do is commit to further into the future. And that's when we issue this bond here, we're going to take 55 million out and we are going to commit the community to pay the 60 for $100,000 for another 15 or 20 years. So we can get more money, but only by committing some long in the future. The other thing that we can do as a board is we can put a parcel tax on. There's already one on there, and we have talked about extending or transforming that parcel tax to something else. And that conversation you need to fully understand when you talk to your friends so you're correctly representing that, because that's a little different story to tell. So, but there's no more money to be had by just asking our neighbors because they like our schools. We're kind of at the limit.
All right, if there's no further
Thanks.
discussion, I just have a question. Are we in position to refinance at all? Novato Sanitary District just did a refinancing, and I was just
Yeah, we did a refinancing on the bonds that we were able to do in the fall of 2017.
Right.
The other bonds that are outstanding were already, I believe, refinanced in 2011 when the bond market was at its lowest.
Okay.
So any refinancing of those bonds would have to be a taxable issuance. And so there is a spread between a taxable issuance is taxable to the bondholders. It's no longer looked at as municipal debt, and therefore there is a higher interest cost. And so we continue to look at that, and if interest environment goes even lower, that may pencil out. But this district, and all credit to my predecessor or my predecessor's predecessor in 2011, when they did that, they got very low interest rates, which is, if anybody has a very low interest rate on their house, knows that once interest rates fall, you'd love to go get a better loan, but you already have a good rate.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Thank you. All right, we will move on with this item. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Moving into our discussion action, we have 2 grand jury reports that we need approval on. Grand jury was very busy this year.
Well, these are grand jury reports that were shown significant commitment to. So these are nice, timely topics. The first is about vaping. And so on May 16th, 2019, the Marin County Civil Grand Jury released a report, Vaping, an Under-the-Radar Epidemic, and brought some recommendations forward to Nevada Unified School District. And so, am I doing this one, Ms. Carter, or are you? So I will talk about this. So the couple of the recommendations that came forward, the first one was that they recommended that that school districts increase initiatives to provide students, parents, and the community with more information and support on vaping and prevention cessation. Initiatives should include digital, social media content, including material for middle schools and high schools. The great news is that we've done great work to get ourselves ready for this. We've acknowledged that this was a problem for our students. In last year, we've done significant work, in particular with the Department of Justice grant that we wrote and received funding for to help us with tobacco and vaping cessation. And so the great news is that we're totally aligned with this recommendation that they've brought forward. The other recommendation that they made was that districts install vaping detectors in school bathrooms and other areas where vaping frequently occurs. In that same grant, we received funding to install those vaping detectors, and so we're working to find the right partners to help us get those installed. Some of the early technology had some pretty good challenges, so we're getting into the second generation vaping detectors, and they've worked some of the bugs out. Unfortunately, I'm sure some of the bugs and the vaping makers have also worked some of the bugs out, but we are well in advance towards achieving these goals. And so we've written a report that you have there that informs the civil grand jury that we're making great progress towards the recommendations that they brought forward.
Trustee Cooper.
Thank you very much, Chris. So is there I looked on our website, is there any way we can get some of this information for parents who are curious about, well, what's going on, what is vaping, what's the school district doing about helping with this? Can we, because I think, didn't we have an event at San Jose Middle School like the end of last year?
Yeah, we've had a series of different events. Let's review the website and make sure that we have information available, because I know this is an important topic to our community. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
All right, anybody else? All right, we'll continue on. I think there's some policy work we probably have to do, updating some of our policies.
Okay.
I don't think CSBA is even have new versions yet, but we need to do some work on that. Trustee Yassin?
I was going to say, I would love that. And also, we had discussed last year about education. I know that we've had a little bit of transition, but there was going to be something for parents and information and that kind of thing. So I would love to work with whoever it is that's taking that on now.
Okay. Yes, this is an action item to approve our response to the grand jury.
I'll move approval.
Okay, so we have first by Trustee Cooper, a second by Trustee Mack. All those in favor? 6-0, one absent. All right, the second item is another grand jury report. This is in regards to our school resource officers.
Okay, so yes, again, it's nice when the requests from the civil grand jury are in things that we're very much aligned with. And so this second one is around school resource officers revisited. And then we were asked to respond to 5 different recommendations. Rather than walk through each of the 5, you have the document there in front of you. The great news is that we have a really strong partnership with the Novato Police Department. We've implemented this program recently. We've recently committed funds to this. Again, we've sought out grant funds to help us offset the cost, and so that same Department of Justice grant that I spoke to a few minutes ago is the same grant that will cover the cost of Nevada Unified's contribution to the school resource officers for the next few years. So that is all great news. And again, the partnership that we've developed in line with Novato Police Department addresses all the recommendations of the civil grand jury, and that's all captured in the report.
All right, Trustee Millerick?
This information on the website, the response to the grand jury, nationally, people are very concerned about community safety. And if we put this in a way that reminds the community that we have a partnership with the police force that they rely on to protect their homes and our schools and their children, it would be, it's an opportunity. The grand jury's handed us an opportunity to address an important issue in the community.
Yep, absolutely.
I would hope we put it out in a way that speaks to the broader issue, not just the narrow issue they asked.
Right, yeah, good thing, thank you.
Trustee Nell?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, you know, both of these grand jury requests and for response, et cetera, help us, you know, validate the work that we are already doing. In some ways, I often feel like they're preaching to the choir when they're addressing governmental agencies throughout the county. I would not necessarily always agree with some of the way they go about saying it. In this particular case, we got a good grand jury this time, but I think it's, you know, we need to obviously get the word out that we're aware of these things, have been aware of these things. Our responses say, thanks for letting us know these are a problem. We've known for years. This is what we've been doing about it. We're way out ahead of you, but nonetheless, we appreciate your validation of our need to focus on it and to spend funds in these areas. So appreciate it very much, and therefore I would move passage of the response.
All right. So we have a first by Trustee Nell, second by Trustee Millerick to approve the grand jury response for school resource officers. All those in favor? 6-0, 1 absent. Okay. Thank you, trustees. And moving on, Yancy Hawkins, where do you, oh, there he is.
You can't get rid of me. All right. All right, this item is regarding the repeal of board policy, administrative regulation, and Exhibit E, 7325, San Marin Lights and Public Address System. In May of 2017, the Board of Trustees certified the final EIR for the San Marin Stadium Lights project. In August of that year, the district passed BPAR and Exhibit 7325 related to the use of those lights. That decision was made working with the community and making some compromises around the use of the lights with the community. The Marin Superior Court in early 2019 ruled that limited sections of the final EIR needed some additional information and clarity, and required the district to recirculate that before finalizing the EIR process. On July 24th of 2019, the limited recirculation of the partially recirculated EIR was sent out for public comment. And that leaves us with a little bit of a problem that our board policy and administrative regulation do not now match our EIR that we've recirculated. So it'll be necessary to repeal those board policy, administrative regulations, and exhibit. And it is important to note that the board has the authority to relook at this if the board chooses to certify the partially revised EIR and approve the project. So with that, I open it up to questions.
Okay, no questions?
Well, I'm going to speak in favor and make a motion to accept the recommendation to, is the official term delete, or is it remove this policy and?
Repeal.
Repeal, okay, so that we repeal the policy and the administrative regulations. I think it's just common sense that we've sent out, we're recirculating the EIR. It doesn't make sense for us to have policies like this on the book. This is, from my perspective, So certainly would expect that if we do go ahead and accept the final EIR report, we'll probably be revisiting this again because we're going to need administrative rules and regulations and a board policy around their use once we have them. So it makes total sense to take them off the table, have an objective review of the EIR out in there, and then we'll bring it back up later after we decide what we're going to do. So I would move that we
Okay.
repeal them.
All right?
And I would just say, and that we consult with the campus, of course.
Yes. So I have a first by trustee Nell, a second by trustee Millerick. All those in favor? 6-0, 1 absent. Okay. Thank you.
All right. I'm back. Oh, I'm not?
No, you're not.
Oh.
Unless you want to do the assistant superintendent HR. Just
Well, I would
right
I would
there.
love to do that, but Chris will do a better job than I, so.
That's all right. Don't go anywhere.
You're next up.
Okay, so I'm very happy to bring forward the contract for our new Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. I'm thrilled that Jonathan has joined our team. He brings the skills that we need. I want to tell one short story. When I was doing Jonathan's reference check, I called one of the Teachers Association presidents that he worked with. They have a co-president in Sonoma Valley. And she just could not have been any more positive about him. And so I thought, well, you know, she's a positive person. This is a great thing. And then I talked with Ashley Halliday, who's our interim assistant superintendent. And he used to work in Sonoma Valley. He worked there for a long time. And so I mentioned the name of the woman that I did the reference check with. Well, first of all, I said that I heard so much positive from the president. And he's like, oh, well, that's great. He's like, well, who did you talk to? And I mentioned the name of the president, and he's like, what? Wow. And he said, you know, she's a fantastic person. I don't mean to say anything. She said, but she's going to tell it like it is. Right? She's not one of those people that's going to sugarcoat it. And the things that I heard about Jonathan are the things that I want to think about with an HR person, that he's generous of time and spirit. He's always there to meet with people. Things aren't left undone. You know, things get handled quickly and promptly. He cares about us as employees. And that's what I think we care about in an HR person. And so all of that being said, I'm bringing forward Jonathan's contract for the 1920 school year. You're gonna save some money over that high-paid HR manager that you had last year, and so you know I'm very excited, and I hope that you will approve his contract tonight. I know he does too.
This is his last chance, right, to get out of this deal?
Yeah.
I will move adoption.
Okay.
Approval of the agreement for Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Okay. All right. So first by trustee Millerick, a second by trustee Mack to approve the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources 1-year contract. All those in favor? 6-0. 6-0, 1 absent. Done.
Congratulations, Jonathan.
Congratulations. Welcome.
You live in Sonoma Valley? I don't. I live in San Diego. Oh, okay. Well, that's a little better. That's about an hour. I've done that one in reverse. I was doing it hard way reverse.
All right, we have our last item for this evening, and Nancy is back up.
All right. Earlier tonight, I brought forward the timeline for the Series B issuance, and now I'm bringing an administrative item that will be required for us to do the Series B issuance. The timing of our issuance in the fall does require this, given that the final amortization schedule will not be available for the County of Marin before they put the 2019-20 tax levy on the bills for the 2019-20 tax bill. And given that there will be a small interest payment in February of 2020 on Series B, that money will need to be repaid. So the resolution was drafted by our bond counsel, Janet Mueller of DWK, in conversation with Roy Given at the County of Marin, who I spoke to earlier today. And so this is a standard resolution that we use when we issue bonds at this time of the year. And so with that, I'm happy to open it up to any questions.
No questions? All right. So this is an action item.
I will move.
All right. So the first by trustee Nell, a second by trustee Cooper to approve the resolution 5, 2019-2020 to establish a tax levy for the Measure G Series B issuance. All those in favor? 6-0, 1 absent. All right, that concludes, thank you, Yancey.
Thank you.
That concludes our board meeting this evening. The board members, we do have a special board meeting. It's part of our board retreat this Saturday from 9 to 12, right here in room 107 will be. So please arrive at 9 o'clock. And then our next regular scheduled meeting for the board is August 20th. And that same week is when the first day of school is, which is August 22nd. This meeting's adjourned.